Well, hello family. You can tell from my voice. No thank yous yet. You can tell from my voice what my week has been like. I've been really looking forward to coming tonight. Been giving a lot of interviews and talking to a lot of people, but I was really looking forward to this because it's been a very hard week for me for many reasons, but the hardest part has been not being able to talk to all of you. And that was really bugging me because I could feel myself in your place. And one of the hardest things that you can do is just sit there anxiously, not knowing what's going on. So I've made a lot of enemies this week. And last night, after my interview airs, especially the interview that woke me at 12 midnight to give to Armenia, I was exceptionally scathing, and I give thanks to the dear Lord because it was one of the best interviews I've ever given in my life. But with that being said, are there any parents who are mechanics? Anyone? Okay. So I need someone to check my brake lines every morning before I head out. Okay, that's just a little bit of light humor. I want you guys to know everything I know by the end of this evening. I want you to completely trust what we are doing, and I don't want you to feel like we're doing things that are not in the best interest of your children. So I want to start with, of course, we always go back to the letter, right? And who was at the bottom of this letter? We start with those three entities. We have the Central Board, we have the Manukian Foundation, and we have the school board. So I want to tell you, as we've started, well, I'm going to take you step by step here. Let's start with the Manukian Foundation. Let's start with the fact that Vache Manukian started giving a lot of money to the school. And I think before we go down the road, let's acknowledge the fact that he gave a lot of money and he wanted the school to succeed. We know that much. No one can give that kind of money for nothing. He gave that money, and the school started, and it was going. And we reached a time where there was 200 students that we had at one point. I see Dr. M is here. She can remember. We had 200 students at that time, and things were going quite well. Then something happened that we discovered this week. We started to see that what we learned is that there was a change going on in someone's mind. We don't know whose, but they started a concerted effort to want to change our school into a white American school, like a non-Armenian school. They wanted to bring in, different ethnic groups, Koreans, other, not singling out anyone, but just anyone other than Armenian. And at some point, they approached the principal and asked her to go out into the community and find the most talented non-Armenian students and bring them to the school, because they really wanted to start making it like a Campbell Hall and a Buckley, right? That's what they wanted to do. And that very brave principal said, no way. That money, I forgot the most important part. Go out and find that talented non-Armenian and give them a full scholarship. Forgot that part. And that's when our brave principal said, absolutely not. That money should go to our Armenian children. Hold on. It gets crazy. We're going down the rabbit hole together tonight. When she said, no way, they turned to her and said, we are going to destroy you. We are going to ruin your reputation if you don't do what we want you to do. That principal left. And then continued this plan of making this a less Armenian school. They went and found a principal from North Carolina, a white gentleman, non-Armenian, very nice man, very nice man. They spent $1 million on his whole arrival. Let's let that sink in. $1 million in their effort to start making this something that wasn't supposed to start like this, right? They brought in an entirely new school board. They took out everyone that was on the board and they started putting in Mr. Manukyan's cronies, Eric Israelian, Leslie Shahinian. They brought in people from the central board that's also on there, the Demirjan. We have the few others there. But they were all yes men. Even the principal was a yes man. We had Leslie Shahinian. Did you not see her at school? Running around, getting the most beautiful furniture costing $80,000. Right? $80,000. They went on a media, I think somewhere in the letter, right? It said they've done extensive efforts, active advertising.
Americana.
Right? When I was eating a hot dog on a stick in the Galleria, I looked up and saw, wait a minute, is that our school? It didn't make sense to me. So everyone was very confused. What was going on? So we understand that they were trying to make this a school. And there were a lot of comments from the board members saying, well, this is how Campbell Hall does this, and this is how Campbell Hall does that. We started to just notice this week that they were trying to make this a non-Armenian school. So going back to that letter, right, we see the $2 million deficit. I mean, that's pretty much the big thing that they pointed to, that we're in this big deficit. Well, we all knew that this was not true, right? First of all, they tied our hands. They cut off our limbs, limb by limb. They cut off this limb. They wouldn't let the alumni talk to our school. There was no communication. They cut off this limb by telling us, you can't give money to the school. They made us basically powerless by not opening up their books to us, by not being transparent to us. And the whole time we sat there like blind sheep, helpless sheep, thinking that our dear shepherd, Mr. Manukyan, was just going to lead us to safety and everything was going to be fine. Let's take a look at the expense. I'm going to give you some information. And I want you to take this information after tonight. I want you to spread it. I want you to tell everybody you know. Because we want to change the narrative that this, no life.
No. I think you should.
Well, as you know about me, I'm not afraid to say what I have to say. So if it's live, it's live. So let's talk about the expenses and let's get through this. Kind of painful. So 3 years ago, 3 years ago,
I'm not lying.
there was a jump. We were looking at the expenses, and there was 2 years, school years, where things took a huge jump in expenses. So the start of the 2016 school year and the start of the 2017 school year, there was a increase of $1 million in operational expenses. With everything, looking at the 2 years, all the expenses they have, we compare, $1 million extra going into that year that it started to become a white private school, right? We started to look at things like half of the increase of that $1 million represented salaries on a management level, which did not exist the previous year. Where is the board to come and explain this, right? Fees for services, non-employees. In the beginning of the 2016 year, there was no fee, zero. In 2017, almost 50,000. What is that? Under fees for non-employees, under other, in the 2016 year, $970. In the 2017 year, $200,000. Okay? They've got something called occupancy fee. I wish they were here, we could ask them, right? 2016, it was $4,800. The beginning of the 2017 year, $75,000. Where are these increases, right? It's too much of a deficit. We've gotten ourselves in the hole. We're not bringing the students here. This is absolute proof. This is all ridiculous narrative that they're trying to put on us. I can go on and on. They have PAC expense from a 0 to a 51,000. Repairs from a 0 to 43,000. And did any of those repairs go to the kitchen?
No.
Oh, the insurance. Who said insurance? Thank you. Where's the insurance? Insurance, 2016 year, nothing. They didn't pay anything on insurance apparently. In 2017, $45,000. What was there between the first and the second year that made them all of a sudden need $45,000 of insurance? These are questions they didn't give us a chance to ask. They just sent us a letter saying, you're out. Well, that doesn't make sense, right? That's the narrative of this board of Mr. Manoukian. Now, whether he knew about all this, I don't know. We don't know what he thinks, right? We only had the board to depend on. If we wanted to do anything, if I wanted to turn the knob on the stove, and I'm not joking, turn the knob on the stove to warm the gravy that we're planning to give to the kids on Thanksgiving dinner, I have to ask the board. They had to ask the board. Something's not right at all. And this is through the Mr. Manoukian, I don't know, we're guessing. We're trying to figure out how could a guy that started off with such generosity all of a sudden just not be there for us? What is it? Did he get frustrated? Did he say enough is enough? Did someone give him wrong information? Did his board members mess up and blame it on us? Maybe that's it.
Yes.
We don't know.